Well, hi everyone, David Cross, and it's been a while since I have done any type of video at all. So I wanted to share something over the weekend that I came across that I thought, it's pretty cool, and it turned out to be a pretty decent little widget, if you will. And I just want to kind of go through some of this because I think AI has its place, and it shows some creativity, at least in terms of what you can do with AI to complement your application, or if you're a non-programmer like me, to be able to use it to help with some of that programming, although I have experience in some of this. So one of the things I started with, and I was just sitting here playing around in an email, and all of a sudden I see this Copilot. They have something new in there, and I clicked on it, and I was just kind of going through it and asked a question, and I was like, well, okay, let's see what you do here. Let's create a widget. And I had gone through a description of a little widget that I want for Windows 11 that would allow a pop-up in a window to type in a IP address, a domain name, or a MAC address or subnet, and have it go out to the CAA, the Cygna automation appliance. I'm going to switch that cloud around to Cygna, and have it go out and query the IP or domain or MAC or whatever it is based on that, and create a very simple API workflow to do that. Now, it turned into a couple-hour conversation with Copilot, but the thought of it was that I had started off with an initial project as doing this, and I got a skeleton view of it. But then all of a sudden, I wanted to go through some enhancements. So I had my session crash. I copied everything back up, and then we went through some enhancements. And so basically, as I was walking through this process, I would prompt for the what I wanted. It would give me some new functions, or it would update the script. It then, as I wanted some type of interface, it told me what to install in terms of the different modules and so forth. And I ended up with a couple Python web interface. Tinctor is the name of it. And that allowed me to have a Windows interface that I could then start scrolling through. Well, then I want to have some type of automatic determination of, is it a MAC, is it an IP address, is it a subnet? And so it actually wrote the code to do that. And then I asked it, a few other things as I went through it. And so in the second iteration of it, that's kind of what we ended up with. And so what I thought was just tremendously interesting about it, again, as I was going through this, I would be able to take any of the output, the errors, I would paste it just as it was within Copilot. And it would tell me exactly where the error was. And it would then give me the correction and tell me how to align it. And then I'd go through those processes with it. And so this is kind of just the iteration of this. So I didn't want to go through all of this, but I wanted to just point out that as I was doing this, and kind of the reason I started doing it is because with this automation appliance, I could do an API that this device could consume easily without having necessarily a login. So I use my own login for it, but have it call, pass a parameter to me, and then display it back to me in some way that I could represent it. And so I just want to kind of show you real quick how that turned out. It's going to launch everything over in a new window, and I'm going to drag it here. This does not look very pretty, but it gave me some simple things like toggling a theme. And I could go out and do an 1.1.1, pull an IP address, and it's popping up another screen over here on the other side. So then it would pop up in a tree view display, the table view, and a text view with save results. And then as I switched between the views, we went back and forth with errors and so forth. But it turned out really to be, a very nice little process here. It also allowed me to do some things like customizations, setting up that I want to have a particular icon or whatever the URL is. And so within that particular structure, then it created and told me it would load in a config properties file, which I could then set up. Here are the files, here's the URL, here's the quick API I wrote, and I can modify these around as needed and customize it to be of any logo or things like it. So it also presented me with all of the different installation types I needed. So I was able to walk through this. It gave me all the build commands. It gave me a spec file that I could build with, or it gave me some other things that I could do in terms of starting up. Now, I renamed this from Python to PyWindows so I could load it and have everything hidden behind the interpreter. But I thought that was very cool. And then the point again about the automation appliance is its rapid deployment capabilities. So I had in this program, I told it to post when it comes into the system, it's either going to be IP domain, subnet, and I'm going to set various parameters around it. With a MAC address, we're going to accept various types of MAC address filters and delimiters in that case. And then as it goes through the login to IP control in this particular case, it then has a hash key comparison that I'm now checking for that message payload IP domain and the type. And based on that type, it's then calling into the specific function or API that's going to export that data, which it then displays back to me. So as we're kind of watching this information, we can show the sidebar and we can see our information coming in, our post, and then the IP, and then you can kind of see the output that we're showing in that response. And I thought that's pretty slick. And that only took a couple hours, I would say, to do that. But then here's like one for the domain, to pull out all of the DNS resource records, again, to do a tree view, the table view, text view. And again, my point was when I started this, and the way I still want to structure it, is I wanted a widget that I can either right click here or have it on my taskbar, that I want to do a very quick search of some type of information and have it automatically determine it, search it, find it, display it. And then I also wanted that ability to do like calculations, which I'll be adding to this as well. So I can do like, here's a network, here's its target site or size, and then give me all the subnets, all the IPs, and maybe even generate files and things like that with it. Well, anyway, I want to thank you for sharing time with me. And I just wanted to point this out, around some of the automation and the AI and, some things like that that you can work with. But keeping in mind that with our automation appliance, it really does simplify the process in that we can take a simple header, we can take a token, a base 64 pair, etc., and use that for authentication and quickly interface with things like ServiceNow, with Terraform, and other APIs, and even little plugins like this that I'm using for my application. So anyway, just want to point that out, and then take care, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.